Shika, for such a nice welcome and a warm welcome to all the participants who are joining us for this webinar, and that too towards the end of the week when everyone would want to wrap up the business and go back home and enjoy the weekend. So once again, thanks to all the participants. I'll just quickly share my screen. This is visible, Shika?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible now.
Okay, today I'll be taking up the topic on do's and don'ts for the taxpayers, and we'll also touch upon the process of online generation of e-invoice. In the previous session, we have seen what are the challenges which all the taxpayers are facing, because this is a new provision which has come up, and it has its own intricacies and challenges which are there on the portal, etc. So, for any taxpayer to ensure that what is it that they should do and what they should not do while going for the process of e-invoice generation, we'll start with what is it that the taxpayer should do before they start the process of e-invoicing generation. First and foremost, each and every taxpayer should map all the business scenarios and the transactions for e-invoicing. When I say the business scenarios, I would not only want to talk about the normal supplies, the sales returns, and the goods which are sold, the supplies made, cross-charge, etc. There are various other transactions also where the information or the data points are not available in the sales registers, but while doing the e-invoicing or while doing the tax compliances, this is very important for us to ensure that we don't miss out onto the any of the transactions. For example, if there are any recoveries which you are making from any of your suppliers, in most of the cases or in some of the cases, we have noticed that some of the recoveries which are being made, they are not separately shown as a revenue item on the balance sheet or a P&L item. They are shown either as net off as an expensive, or a separate expense item is shown. So sometimes you miss on to generate an e-invoice for those transactions. So maybe GST compliances are being done appropriately, reason being that we are keeping a track of all the GST invoices. But once you are mapping all the transactions, these transactions can skip your attention because they may not be coming separately as a line item in your sales register. So this is one of the transaction which gets set off in the expense item, and you might miss on generating the e-invoicing. Then another instance which we have been looking at, and the queries that keep on coming from the clients, is about the debits and the credit notes which are being issued for the invoices which were pre-GST invoices. Now the thing is that if you are issuing a debit or a credit note and reporting it on the IRP, there is no check or a validation there on the IRP to link it with any of the original invoices. So in our view, it is more safer to report these transactions, because in any which case, when you will be issuing any debit note or credit note in GST scenario, you'll be reporting it in your GSTR1, and the reporting will also happen in GSTR3B. So there will always be a reconciliation issues that you are setting it off in your monthly returns, but for the purpose of e-invoicing, it is not mentioned. So tomorrow, this entire data is going to the government portal. So they can always do the matching of the e-invoice data and the GSTR data. And the thing, there can be differences in the values and the taxes that you are paying. So it's advisable, even if it is pre-GST invoices for which you are issuing debit notes and credit notes, please report them also on the IRP portal and get it reported so that there are no reconciliation or differences in the data which is there with the government. Another example which we have always seen, where there is a movement in lots. So there are doubts which keep on coming that in case of movement in lots, when it's a CKD or SKD movement, the invoice, it's only one invoice which is issued, and the goods move in the lots and the DCs. So whether there has to be a multiple e-invoicing for all the movements, because yes, for the purpose of e-way bill, the e-way bill is generated for the invoice as well as for the delivery challan. So the law is very clear on that. There is no requirement of generating any e-invoice for the delivery challan. The only requirement is to generate the e-invoice for the tax invoice that you are issuing, and therefore you need not have multiple e-invoicing for multiple movements. So these are some of the examples that I've taken, and there can be various other intricacies and unique situations in any business scenario. So this is the first step which every business should take, that ensure that every transaction which requires e-invoice generation is captured, and you are ensuring that the e-invoicing is being generated for this particular transaction. The second step is regarding the system updations, ERP updations or data transformation. Why is it necessary? Because like in your GSTR returns, you are having certain data points in your system which has to be sent to the portal. Similarly, e-invoicing also have certain mandatory fields without which if any data is pushed to the portal, there will be a validation fail check and your invoice or IRN number will not get generated. So the next step, which after mapping all your transaction, every business should ensure that whatever the mandatory fields which are required under the e-invoice schema, the data points are available in the ERP system. In case we have seen there are very practical situations where the companies are not able to update their ERPs because there could be some cost implications, or let's say the ERP team is sitting across the globe and getting all the updations done on real time basis or maybe near real time basis. It's very difficult. There are various other practical challenges. In those cases, you can always tie up with various service providers who will help you in doing the data transformation. So even if there is a raw data which is coming from your system, there are codings which are available which will transform the data to ensure that all the mandatory fields are available and the data is pushed to the portal for generation of IRN. In the ERP, it's not only about the field updation, there will be also requirements for every business to update their billing modules. When I talk about billing modules, why is it important? Because today, a normal billing module, you only put in the relevant information which is required under the GST law, and the invoice is generated within the system. There is no dependency on any outside service provider or any outside system for any data information which has to be put in your invoice. But in today's scenario, where the law requires that every invoice which is issued under the law should carry the QR code, and without that, the invoice will not be considered as a tax invoice under the GST law. So now there is some integration which is required from someone external portal, which is the government IRP portal. So once you do have this integration, you also need to have an update in the billing module to have a place where you can print the QR code. Because today, in most of the cases, or in some of the cases, we have seen the billing billing module. The data is already, there is so much data on the invoice that there is no space to put in any extra information. So this is the time when you need to look into your billing module. You need to see what all information is relevant from the tax perspective, and what is where all you can place this QR code. Because if you are sending any invoice or any movement of goods or any services is being supplied on an invoice which is not containing a QR code, then this would not be treated as a legal tax invoice and all the penal provisions will follow. After looking in from your ERP perspective, businesses should also see how they would want to integrate with the IRP. Why this is important point? Because there could be scenarios where you can go onto the portal and generate one by one invoices. But a business which is having a turnover of more than 100 CR would definitely have humongous number of invoices. And going on to the portal and getting single invoice generated would be a hurricane task for any taxpayer in today's scenario. And along with when you have various other compliances which have to be followed within the timelines. So it's very important that you integrate with the IRP. There are various models available. I'll not touch upon the technical part or technology part of it, but just to give you a sense of it, you can directly integrate with the IRP portal through their APIs. They have already given their APIs on the sandbox, and you can integrate directly with the portal without having any service provider in between. If you feel that you don't have an in-house capacity to do a direct integration, you can take the help of any ASP or GSP who are serving in the market. They'll give you the entire process of how the integration will happen and how the data will flow, and you'll get back the IRN numbers, etc. Only in any first case scenarios, or if let's say you have a scenario where you have limited invoices, then you can go on to the offline utility. There is an offline utility which is available on the portal. You can download that utility, upload entire data of all the invoices for which you need to generate an IRN, convert it into JSON, and then send it onto the portal, and you'll get the IRN numbers generated for each and every invoice. But there is one restriction over there, that this offline utility cannot have a data of more than 2 MB. So only those businesses where the data is low and let's say the invoice volume, the value is high and the number of invoices is low, they can opt for the offline utility and ensure that the data is not more than 2 MB. Otherwise, the portal will not accept the data. After going through the business and the system changes, there are very fine points which we have identified in our experience with our discussions with the clients and also helping them in their implementation of e-invoicing. There are various queries and questions which have come up, which we have tried to capture as much as we could. The issue of in your invoices, you normally give the details of the supplies, and sometimes there are separate line items of freight, insurance, other handling charges and all. So there is always a query which keeps on coming, that how should we report these invoices? This is not the supply of goods that we are doing. So as per the law, all these charges, these are considered to be, let's say if it is going with the supply of goods, these are considered to be incidental to the main supply. And therefore, there has to form part of your e-invoice, the data which is going for the generation of IRN. You can show all these line items as a separate line item in your invoices and send the entire data to the portal for the generation of e-invoice. So it's not that these are other charges and you need not send them onto the portal. All this needs to go to the portal, because for the purpose of GST, we are treating this as a part of supply of goods. These are the incidental to the supply, and the tax is also being paid accordingly. Then there were some other unique transactions which came to our knowledge or attention, that there are TCS charges which are being collected under the Income Tax Act. And also there are some pure agency charges, reimbursements, etc. Now the question comes that these charges, we all know, are not taxable under GST. So how these have to be reported on the portal? Today, e-invoice schema is not catering to any separate field to capture TCS or a reimbursement as a separate field or a separate column. They have given a common column of other charges where you can report these charges, these non-taxable charges, and then send it to the portal. So while generating the invoice and all this entire amount will come under the other charges. So need not send it as a part of taxable supply. There is a separate column as other charges. Report it over there, and you can send all the data to the portal. The last point on the slide is around the following of the timelines. Like we heard in the previous session, that the government has not anywhere mentioned the timelines for generation of e-invoice. That's true. The law has nowhere mentioned what is the timeline. But in the e-invoicing validation, there is a validation which is provided in the schema, that invoice should not be older than a day before, earlier than the previous day. So if I'm issuing an invoice for today, let's say it's 4 December invoice, I can generate an IRN for this invoice only till tomorrow, that is 5th December. If I take this invoice to the portal on 6th December, the portal will reject this invoice and the IRN number will not be generated. Yes, there is a relaxation which has been provided for the month of October, but barring that relaxation, once this is withdrawn, this validation will be put in. Today, the validation has been relaxed, but the law intends to put this validation that the invoice date should not be earlier than yesterday date. So as a business, you have to ensure, you should have your systems in place, that if any invoice is being issued in the system, the IRN is generated for that invoice within the next day. Otherwise, you will miss on to the generation of IRN. Then you'll have to cancel that invoice, whether by way of credit note or by way of cancellation, and issue a new invoice for the generation of IRN number. This can also cause a lot of business disruptions, where the goods have to move on time and you have to send the supplies to your customers at a particular committed date. The other part is about the cancellation law. It has been very clearly mentioned that the cancellation can happen only within 24 hours. If you're not able to cancel, the only option that is available is to issue a credit note and issue a fresh invoice. In case there are any errors and all which are there in the e-invoice and you want to cancel or you want to make an amendment, there is no provision of making amendments on the IRP portal. Other thing which is very important for all the taxpayer is that once you are generating any IRN for your invoices, please download and save these details in your in-house system, in your ERPs, because the government will not save this data for you, unlike in case of returns. This data will be available on the portal only for 24 hours. So it's a suggestion that every business which is generating IRN from the portal should immediately download and save these details somewhere in their own servers or in their ARPs for any future references. Like I said in the previous point, the amendments of the invoices will not be allowed on the portal, on the IRP portal. So let's say if you issued any invoice and and this can happen only mostly in those cases where you are going and manually entering the details on the e-invoice portal. Somebody entered a wrong detail while issuing the invoices, and you realize this after 24 hours. You cannot even cancel those invoices. So the government has clarified in such cases, you can go on to the GST portal, and when you are finalizing your GST returns, you can make the amendments. So while the data is being auto-populated from e-invoice to the GST portal and also to the e-way bill portal, for the GST portal, they have clearly mentioned that it will all be amendable. It will not be hard-coded or freezed. The data will not be freezed. So you can go over there and make the amendments. The only flip side of this would be that tomorrow, if some government officer is looking at your data, he will have two data points, one which is coming from the e-invoice portal and one which is coming from the GST portal, and there will be a mismatch between this detail, which you can of course justify it. But our suggestion is that ensure that such errors are minimized and you are looking into more of an integration so that human intervention is at the minimal. MIS reporting is very important for every business in today's scenario, because like I said in this previous scenario, let's say if you have this kind of a situation where there is an amendment which has required in the e-invoice, but because you have surpassed the timeline of doing any cancellations, now only possibility is to do the amendment in the portal. So you should have an in-house system. There are various service providers who provide all these facilities, but let's say if you don't take any support of any service provider, external help, then within your ERP system you should have an MIS reporting between the sales register, the invoicing, and the GSTR1. This will always help you in reconciling the data which is available in your sales register, the documents for which you have issued the invoices, and from there what all is being reported in GSTR1. Why this is important? Because there would be various invoices, and the immediate example is all the B2C invoices which are not required to be reported on the IRP portal as on day. That will be appearing in your sales register. That will also be appearing in your GSTR1. So this reconciliation and this mapping will always help you to ensure that all the compliances are being made on time, and there are no surprises afterwards when the department is visiting, and there are instances which come up where the transactions have missed the attention of generating the invoicing. So MIS reporting is something which is very important in today's business scenario. Every business should ensure to have this kind of a reconciliation or a reporting, so that any transaction which is missing your attention can be immediately taken care of. Now all this was from the supplier's angle. Now when you are a recipient, it is also very important that when you are supplying, you are ensuring the compliances. But what about the compliances of your suppliers? Like during the implementation time, we all had looked into all those requirements, that whether our vendors are complying with the GST requirement. So maybe we'll have to go back in times and again do the same exercise. We all need to do vendor profiling. Vendor profiling means you need to categorize all those vendors who are required to generate the invoice because of the threshold limit that they are crossing. You need to have a communication with all the vendors. In case they are required to generate, you need to ensure that any invoice which is coming from them is carrying all the IRN details. In case any vendor says that they are not covered under the requirement of the e-invoicing, then as a prudent businessman, our suggestion would be you should have some documentation in the place, whether it's an indemnity letter or whether it is a undertaking, that in case that they undertake that they are not required to generate any e-invoice, and in case there is any repercussions of they not being generating the e-invoicing, or let's say there is any misdeclaration from their side, then they should be indemnifying you for any ITC loss which will happen at your end. Because like we know, The government has very much clearly clarified and amended the law to the extent that the invoices which will not be having the required particulars, and one of the particulars being QR code, the credits will be denied. So you as a recipient also need to ensure that your suppliers are complying. For this facility, the government has given, there is a search portal, search taxpayer portal on the tab on the IRP portal. You can go in there, put in the details of the your vendors. Let's say even if your vendors are saying that they are not falling under the requirement, our suggestion is please go in onto the portal, search for their details. The portal is very much giving all the details of the vendors who are covered under the requirement. And in case there is any gap in the understanding, then it's something that you need to take up and with your vendors, and get this thing clearly recorded, that in case there is any misdeclaration, or in case there is they are not required to generate the IRN, and tomorrow the government is coming, the department officers are coming and denying the credits, they'll be the one who will be indemnifying you for all the loss that you face in future. Here, I would want to point out one thing, that today the portal is only allowing you to search the vendor's detail on one-on-one basis. But in long run, they'll soon come with the facility of a bulk updation, where you can upload the details of all your vendors, and then you can get the status whether they are falling under the requirement or not. But today, as of now, you have to go for each vendor and one by one and check their status. Now, the next thing after doing the vendor profiling is the AP process view. AP process is your accounts payable view. So you need to build in checks and balances in your system to ensure that any invoice which is coming without an IRN, you need to have a flag that whether the vendor was required to have the IRN generated on it or not. If not, then you already have a communication. But if he is required to have a IRN generated, but the invoice is coming without the IRN requirements, then the AP team needs to be updated that any payments, etc., needs to be put on hold, or maybe you need to communicate with the vendor to get the correct invoice, because at the end of the day, it's you who will be facing the repercussion of denial of any credit at your end. The last thing which is very important is all the stakeholder trainings and the readiness of the system. Stakeholders will be like your AP team, will be your billing team. You need to update them on the generation of the e-invoicing, whether or not you are taking support of any service provider. Every team member should know what is the requirement of the law and what would be the repercussion if there is any non-compliance at your end. Moving on to the next section, what taxpayers should not do. After understanding what they should do, there are various other points where you need to keep in mind, because there are certain practices which are prevailing in the business, in the industry, and this is the time where we need to update and upgrade ourselves, because there is a specific requirement under the law. Today we have seen that there are various cases that in a particular invoice, if there are different POS, the taxpayers are issuing a single invoice having multiple POS, and while reporting on the GST portal, there is a validation check that if a single invoice has two POS, the portal doesn't allow you to upload those details. So as a practice, what the taxpayers were doing, they started putting some unique numbers in front of the invoice. So let's say if your invoice is 101 and you have two POS, one line item the portal is taking, the second line item it is rejecting. So what people were doing as a practice, they were putting 0101 and sending the details onto the portal. So the portal doesn't have this kind of the GST portal doesn't have this kind of a validation check. So for single invoice, you were easily to report it on the GST portal. Now in this scenario, where the e-invoice is going to be generated, if you see the second point, they've categorically mentioned that you cannot issue any invoice starting with 0, hash, or slash. So these numbers will not be allowed for reporting of e-invoice, which means the practice which was prevailing in the industry today of generating reporting this particular invoice having multiple POS on the portal by just adding a 0 or a hash in front of the invoice number, this cannot continue. So this needs a process change at your end. In case you are having any transaction where in a particular invoice you have multiple POS, you need to break those invoices and issue two separate invoices, because e-invoice portal, while the e-invoice portal doesn't have a different POS check, you will face the problem at the GST portal. And there you will not be able to make any changes, because for this particular invoice, you have a unique IRN number. Now you cannot go on to the GST portal and put a 0 or a hash to give a separate number, because that number will be a unique invoice in the GST portal without having any IRN number. So this is a practice which needs to be changed right away so that there are no misreporting or a short reporting at the portal. The business cannot generate any IRN in-house. This is a very important point because in the initial phase, the government had said that we'll share the hash algorithm, etc., and the business will be able to generate the IRN. Later on, they changed this requirement. Now, if any invoice has to be sent on the portal for the generation of IRN, it has to be sent over there. You cannot do the IRN generation on your own because many people are having a misconception that it's a combination of 4 parameters. So just putting them side by side, like GSTN number was created. So that's a wrong understanding. There's a hash algorithm which will be used to generate a unique number, and it will not be a simple summation of the 4 parameters which will be used. So no business should plan or think that we can generate an IRN internally in our ERP system and we need not send it to the portal. Every invoice, B2B invoice, which requires the generation of tax invoice and e-invoicing, has to be sent on the IRP portal. You cannot cancel any e-invoice if the corresponding e-way bill is active for that e-invoice, even if you have the timeline to cancel it. Like the 24 hours timeline is there. But if you have any active e-way bill for any invoice, you first need to go to the e-way bill portal, cancel the e-way bill, then come back to the e-invoicing portal and cancel the e-invoice. So this is very important. Sometimes we miss on to the other requirements. So just keep in mind, if you have to cancel any invoice, just check if there is any active e-way bill on that invoice and do the process before you cancel it. There are other practical situations which are prevalent in this industry, like the case of return movement of goods. So various times we have seen there are goods damaged, or sometimes the goods go to the client place, the customer place, and it's a rejection at the gate without gate entry happening. The goods are rejected on the gate and the goods are coming back. So in the practice, we have seen that none of the industry players are, or I would say most of the industry players, they are not issuing a credit note for these transactions. They are just bringing back those goods on DC, canceling invoice in their system. Because today what happens, whatever invoices you're generating in your ERP, the reporting of those invoices are in your control when you are doing your monthly compliances. So at the end of the month, you figure out what all invoices have to be reported. If something has cancelled, goods return happen. So you just cancel those invoices and don't report on the portal. In e-invoice scenario, the minute you generate an invoice and it is sent on the invoice portal for IRN, because without that, the goods cannot move. Now, if the goods have to come back, it will become more than necessary for any business to generate a credit note for such transactions, and you cannot move those goods on DC, because if you do that, there will be a reporting on the portal that there is an invoice which is generated on this particular movement. But when you'll do the GSTR reporting, like the practice you are being following, you will not report the invoice of this number on the GST return. So again, there will be mismatch and unnecessary inviting department's attention of any kind on your business. So as a process, it's advisable in such cases now, because there is an information which is at the first checkpoint, it is going to the government. It is not in your control now that you cannot report this invoice. So better to issue a credit note, report that credit note also on the IRP portal so that this invoice is knocked off and there is no mismatch in your GSTR1 when there is a reconciliation with the GSTR1 reporting. There is no need for any business to generate the invoice on self-invoice, on the self-invoice, the IRN on self-invoice. So there is a lot of confusion which is going around that, it's an invoice which we have to generate, we have to report it. So government has clarified in their FAQs that for the import of goods and services and URP purchases, there is no need for you to generate the invoice. So while you are upgrading your ERP systems and you are integrating all the data, keep in mind that self-invoice is to be kept out of the invoicing requirement. Now, in many practical scenarios, or maybe in some business cases, we have seen that if any invoice is cancelled, sometimes people, they don't have such a restriction in the system in their own ERP. They can use the cancelled invoice number for generating the new invoice. So let's say invoice number 121 got cancelled. So in the system, some people, they just repeat the 121 as a cancelled number for the generation of new invoice. Now, this is a problem or maybe a restriction which is being posed by the IRP portal. You cannot use the same cancelled invoice number for generation of e-invoice, because let's say you've sent an invoice, the invoice got IRN is generated and you have cancelled this IRN. There will be a validation on the IRP portal that the same invoice number cannot be used. So again, work needs to be done at your ERP system. A control needs to be placed that the cancelled invoice number is not used again for any other invoice generation. Second point is very important. None of your goods can move without the invoice which is not having QR code, because you might face some problem at the check post where there are, goods are in movement. There are officers who keep on checking the documentation and all, and then the penal provisions would follow. So ensure that any goods which is moving on the invoice under the cover of invoice, the invoice is having the QR code. Just to point out, the government has mandated that only QR code is a mandatory requirement. IRN need not be printed. In case you want to print the IRN, it is your choice. It's an optional requirement because QR code already contains IRN as one of the parameters. So once someone who is scanning the QR code will be able to see the IRN number as well. So important that invoice is carrying the QR code. Otherwise, there can be deceptions of good at the check post or in transit to the the customer's location. There is no need to report any financial credit notes on IRP. Financial credit note, like we all understand, those credit notes which are not GST credit notes, or let's say which are issued after the GST timelines, and they don't carry the GST details, etc. So there is no need for reporting these credit notes on the IRP. Whatever is required is only the tax invoice, the credit note which is having GST details, and the debit notes. So just keep in mind, sometimes people get confused that all the documents have to be reported, and documents talk about the credit notes. So whether financial credits also need to be sent? The answer is no. There is no need to report your B2C details also on the IRP. You don't have a choice. If you send this detail, there will be a validation check and it will be a failure. So no need to send the bulky data. The B2C details have to be kept within the ERP, and the QR code has to be generated within the ERP system. And no QR code will be generated for B2C by the IRP. So keep in mind, when you're sending your data, only B2B details are supposed to be sent to the IRP data and export, because there is another set of confusion that when we are exporting, the recipient is not a B2B customer. The customer is outside the country. It's not registered. So this is also B2C. So exports have been specifically carved out as a specific requirement. So when we talk about B2C, it will be the domestic B2C details. There was another query which kept on coming from various taxpayers that can we send our company's logo to the IRP, and then whatever the invoice is coming will be my final invoice which I can use and send it to the customer. So the IRP portal will not allow you to send the logo. There will be again a validation check failure. So you cannot send your logo to the company to the IRP portal. But as a mechanism, in case you want to use the government generated e-invoice as one of the invoice, and you don't want to have your own billing for the purpose, then maybe you can have a stationery to that extent which has your company logo and the digital signature, because your DSC would be required. You can use that kind of a stationery and print that on the invoice which is generated by the government, the QR code strings. You can print that on the stationery and send it to the customers as a valid invoice. The last point, you cannot cancel any invoice partially. Like in today's day, we used to have a partial cancellation by issuing a credit note of a particular line item. This will not be possible. You'll have to do a full cancellation of invoice. Again, new invoice needs to be generated, and a corresponding credit note, etc., which is required for the cancelled invoice is to be required. So this again requires the process change at your end. Now, after understanding the do's and don'ts, this is all preparatory and your preliminary understanding what should be done and what should not be done. I'll just quickly run past through the process of generation of the e-invoice on the government portal. This is how your e-invoicing login portal looks like. This is the GST invoice portal. On the right hand side corner, there will be a login tab where you will log in with your credentials, and then you will have you land on this dashboard. So this dashboard, on the extreme left side, if you see, You can see e-invoice, generation of the new invoice, bulk upload, cancel. And there are other print and all functionalities which are available. When you'll go to the generate of e-invoice, this kind of an e-invoice entry form will get open. It will have category B2B, B2C, B2G and export, regular, it's reverse charge, whether you are a e-commerce operator, then whether you are generating it for an invoice, debit, credit note, number, etc. Then extreme right, if you see, this is a transaction type, regular or a bill to ship to. You will fill in all your mandatory fields. You can see all these red asterisks are all the mandatory fields. This is for the manual generation of e-invoice. You'll go on to fill all the requirements, the details of the goods, taxes, etc. And once you submit this, you can see the preview of invoice. There's a tab of preview which is there available on the page. You'll see the preview of invoice. You can check if there is this invoice is getting all the details, etc. And then once you generate, this is the kind of invoice you will get from the government portal. So this will have an IRN number on the extreme left, acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date. This is a QR code, the image of the QR code. If someone is going to scan this, this will get all the details of the goods, the supplier details, the goods details, the document details, etc. Similar process you can follow for the e-invoicing cancellation also. Let's say you want to cancel a particular e-invoice. You can do it based on acknowledgement number or an IRN number, fill in those details, go on. You can see which invoice has to be cancelled. Once you submit, this is cancelled, you will get a invoice with the watermark cancelled written on it. So this can be kept as a document or a backup for you for any future references. Now, like it was discussed in the very beginning, while this generation facility is given in the manual, etc., but today when you're going onto the portal, one-to-one generation facility is still not working. What is working today is the bulk generation tool. So in case you want to test this, any particular single invoice, whether the generation is happening or you want to see what are the challenges which are coming, then you can use the bulk generation tool, offline utility, which is what we call in our layman language. Use that tool, given the details of that single invoice and upload it, the invoice IRN number will get generated for that as well. So on the home page, you'll go under the help tab, tools, bulk generation tool. There are 4 different types of forms given on the portal, which you can use for generation of e-invoicing using the bulk generation tool. Like if you want B2B export in one sheet, you want it separately. So these are all those requirements as per your requirement, what all details you want to fill in. Once you go on to the requirement, you give your profile details, etc., your GSTN, your legal name and all. Then you fill in all the details. You download the JSON file, the Excel sheet of the bulk generation tool, fill in the details, convert it into JSON file, and then you have to upload it on this portal. There is this window which will come, upload e-invoice. You'll have to browse, upload, etc. Once you upload it, it will give you the details of the document which have been uploaded, like how many number of invoices have been uploaded, how many line items were there, how many were uploaded, and how many failed to upload. Because while uploading, sometimes there could be internet connectivity issues, the document details might not get uploaded. So this summary table will give you the details of the invoices which have been uploaded. And once it is generated, you'll get the details of IRN number. You can download the Excel and see what all IRN numbers have been generated. Similar functionality you can follow for the cancellation. Offline utility can be used and generate whatever invoices you want to cancel can be cancelled through this offline utility. That's it from my side.
Thank you.